Good morning, Mr. Rampton. Thank you for attending this COVID inquiry. Now, this is not a court, but we would appreciate truthful and honest answers to our questions. Now, you were awarded a contract for £3 billion to supply PPE during the COVID crisis. What, all those plastic frocks and whatnot? Oh yes, that's me. Prior to the epidemic, you ran a shop in the Cotswolds called Curiosities and Curios. Yes, well, I mean, it was more Lucy. You see, she believes women should be independent and all that guff, so her father bought her a little shop. I see, so what do you do? Hedge fund, naturally. Are you able to explain what the purpose of your hedge fund is? Not really. Thought not. So, with your extensive experience of not understanding what your hedge fund does and having a wife who runs her father's shop, can you explain how you were best suited to supplying millions of items of PPE at a time of national crisis? Well, I'd watched Casualty for years. The TV programme. Yes, Charlie's my favourite. So your qualifying reason to be awarded the contract for supplying millions of items of PPE was that you'd seen Casualty. Well, it's plastic frocks. How hard could it be? Well, let's find out, shall we? How did you originally secure the contract? Well, I'd been out for a bit of a lunch with El Cocorino. Excuse me, El Cocorino? Yes, the cockster, Cock Robin, Captain Cocker, Cockaleaky, Helena Hancock, Matt Hancock, the Secretary of State for Health. That's the chap. Well, we just popped out for a spot of lunch in the middle of a national lockdown in which everyone was confined to their homes. Well, what's the point in being health sec if you don't get a few perks? Quite. Go on. Well, yes, we had this tremendous lunch and the next day I woke up with a sore head, a dry mouth and a contract for £3 billion to supply PPE to the NHS. And did you? Well, sort of. You did not, Mr. Rampton. The first batch of PPE you supplied contained 6 items. Oh, it was for a small clinic. And those 6 items were rolls of cling film. Well, you see, I thought those nurse girls, they could wrap the cling film around their heads, you see. And wouldn't breathing be an issue? Well, I don't know, I'm a bit of a duffer about all this disease lark. Just what the nation wants to hear from an NHS supplier. But, as I understood it, breathing was one of the main ways of getting that COVID thing. Well, certainly. If you don't breathe for a period of time, then your chances of catching COVID are considerably diminished, for one reason or another. Moving on. The next batch of PPE you supplied came 4 months later in the form of a large 9-ton ball of solid plastic. Yes, not my fault that. It was a really hot summer and all the frocks sort of melted together into one big ball. Perhaps if you'd supplied them prior to the hot summer? Yes, would have done. But you see, I took summer in Antigua that year. Again, in the middle of a national lockdown. Yes, jolly good to get away from all that. Very depressing. The final batch of PPE you delivered came after the lockdown had finished and was in the form of 300 t-shirts from TK-Maxx. Oh yes, it's amazing the bargains you can pick up in TK-Maxx. They were all less, no rubbish. So, let us recap. You received £3 billion from Her Majesty's government. In return, you supplied 6 pieces of cling film, a large hard plastic ball, and 300 t-shirts from TK-Maxx. Would you say that's good value for money, Mr. Rampton? Well, probably not. But come on. It's not like I spent billions of pounds to fail to send foreigners to Rwanda so that the Daily Telegraph would be nice to me. Fair enough. Thank you for your time.